welcome back to The Outsider's Perspective. My name is Ollie, and here's your loaf of daily bread. Today's loaf comes to us from the poet and mystic Kahlil Gibran, and it goes like this. Knowledge of the self is the mother of all knowledge, so it is incumbent on me to know myself, to know it completely, to know its minutiae, its characteristics, its subtleties, and its very atoms. Right on the heels of yesterday's vlog, I think this is a good loaf of bread for all of us to dine on. The really important part in this passage, in my opinion, is the very first line. Knowledge of self is the mother of all knowledge. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort to see how this is true. If you don't know the thing that does the knowing, how can you know anything else with any accuracy? Before you can know anything else, you have to know the thing that does the knowing. Now, the mind is part of this because the mind is the gateway to all knowledge. In order for the self to know anything, that information comes through the mind. Without the mind, there could be no information coming into our awareness. We could not gauge the validity of that information, and we couldn't form our own conclusions. So, in order to know yourself, you have to know the mind first and foremost. So when Gibran talks about getting to know its minutiae, its characteristics, he could easily just add things like its mechanisms, the way it operates, its functionalities, its instincts. These are all part of know thyself. And as I've said in the past, know thyself is a layered proposition. There are layers to a human being, many different facets. So to know yourself is to know all of these facets. It's to know yourself as completely as possible. That means knowing your mind, knowing your heart, knowing all of the different things that you've accumulated over the years. Especially in our early years, we human beings are great big sponges. We absorb information. And in fact, we absorb the most information before we develop the ability to think critically and to analyze the information and to be more skeptical. So as you're working in retrospect, as you're getting to know yourself now as an adult or as a young adult or as a teenager, it's very important that you go back and you revisit all of the baggage that you accumulated in your early years. This, in my opinion, is part of knowing yourself. It's part of the minutiae, the subtleties that Gibran mentions in this quote. Thanks for joining me today, and live well, my friends.